Scott Morrison has now put two Muslim regional neighbours offside with his plan to consider moving Australia's embassy in Israel. Indonesia's Joko Widodo was first to register his displeasure. Now Malaysia's Mahathir Mohamad has told the Prime Minister the idea could add to the risk of terrorism. From Singapore, David Lipson reports on Mr Morrison's day of top-level diplomacy.
The centenary of Anzac crosses, Prime Minister, here.
Bathed in light in a sanctuary of souls. Scott Morrison prayed for those who fell when Singapore did.
It's very moving as you walk through. There's also a section there that relates to the Chinese who are here, and so it is, I think, a place of great reflection.
More than 70 years later, it falls to the Prime Minister to manage ties with the region's next great power.
After our ups and downs in relations, this is a sign of our mutual respect for our major concerns and core interests.
Investment blocks, the lockout of tech company Huawei and Pacific region rivalries have upset Beijing. But in private talks and in other encounters, Mr Morrison believes some irritants have now been removed.
What we did talk about was that the announcements that I'd made in relation to the Pacific were not exclusive. We don't choose between the partners, we get on with the relationship.
Typically, Australia's security partners more direct when it comes to confronting its competitors.
We all agree that empire and aggression have no place in the Indo-Pacific.
The return of the veteran Mahathir Mohamad to the summit scenes put the Prime Minister in touch with another of the region's influential Muslim leaders.
I think they want us to look that way. Oh.
His view on the risks of shifting Australia's embassy in Israel.
I pointed out that in dealing with terrorism, one has to know the causes. Adding to the cost for terrorism is not going to be helpful. I pointed that out.
Good morning.
That's two wary leaders, and one's still holding out, signing up to a lucrative trade deal until the embassy idea is scuppered.
The issues are not related. They were not conflated. We can't have Australia's foreign policy determined or our agenda set by any other nation.
The Prime Minister's first international summit has not gone smoothly. He's managed to upset two important partners in the region, and all through talk about something few now expect to be carried through. There's still a long line of world leaders and issues to come, the G20 in a couple of weeks and the APEC summit this weekend. David Lipson, ABC News, Singapore.
Now with the day's finance, here's Alan Kohler.
Well, economists had expected employment growth in October of 20,000, but it turned out to be 32,800. And it was all full-time. Part-time jobs fell and the unemployment rate stayed at 5%. As one economist wrote in her note, it was a beautiful set of numbers. And this is what the foreign exchange traders thought of it. They thought it was worth 0.5 cent on the dollar. Now, a couple of things to note. Interest rates usually follow unemployment, but not at the moment. The chart shows the actual number of unemployed people and the RBA cash rate upside down. And as you can see, in the past couple of years, they have diverged. This chart suggests that rates should have gone up already. And maybe they would have if house prices weren't tumbling down. But also underutilisation in Australia remains high. It's the addition of unemployment and underemployment. In America, it's halved since 2009, while in Australia, it stayed the same. So the dollar is trading at 72.7 US cents tonight, while the share market managed to put its nose ahead at the finishing line, having spent most of the day in the red. The energy stocks recovered a bit of yesterday's falls, as did Lend-Lease, while today's falls included Wesfarmers and Origin Energy. The energy stocks went up today because the oil price regained about 1% of yesterday's 7.7% drop, while gold also rose 1.1%. Shares in New York, London and Tokyo all fell, while the Shanghai Composite Index went up. And finally, the Bitcoin price has dropped off a cliff, falling 12% today to below 6,000 for the first time since June, because there's a civil war going on within the cryptocurrency world, triggering a sell down across the board. And that's finance.